think that's good. I think that's good. So, welcome to Chasom Was Here.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a working title, but I'm pretty sure. You know what? I actually use that for a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Like I'll hashtag that just places I've been, or quotes, or like on for my band stickers we had made.
Right.
I have it says Chasom Was Here on it, and it's just something that I do when I travel. Actually, really randomly is I'll put them in like really obscure spots, places all around the world. Like I put one in. I forget what it's called, but there's this train station when I went to Korea, mm-hmm. and there's a train station. It's like brand new. It's this really weird situation where it's a brand new, beautiful new train station.
Pristine, untouched.
Pristine, untouched.
And you touched it.
Yeah, and I touched it. Well, even more so than that it had like all these art pieces on it and things like that. But ironically, it had been built for years and it had never been used. It had never been touched.
All this beautiful art, you touched that too.
Yep.
Chasom was here. Oh, but Brian is also here.
Yeah, Brian's here. Oh, well, hey, let's introduce you. And cheers. Let's give a good cheers. First episode.
All right.
So, Brian Clark.
Yes.
Everyone. Which is no one yet, because this is the very first broadcast.
Right. We're just speaking into the void.
Into the void. Into the computer, which Josh is running the computer back there. Say hi, Josh.
Hello, Josh. Hey. Doing great.
So, and Josh, like I said before, feel free to chime in as much as you like. The audio may be a little odd for you. And let me apologize now, Brian, because this is, you saw, we just set this up, like literally right now.
Yeah.
And so, I'll get to a story about the podcast that I did a long time ago, but
all right. It's a tease.
This was, a brainchild of mine to do, not to do a podcast, but I've been wanting to do this for a long time. And I kind of where it spawned from. And I'm really glad to have you as my very first guest.
I'm honored.
Oh, and, actually, before I get into that, we should introduce you a little more properly. So it's Brian Clark.
Yes.
And please include anything that I'm missing, but you're an author. You've written screenplays, and some have done notably well. Anyway, the Project Greenlight was something that you moved along in the process.
Sure. None of them ever saw production, but I have written them, and they do exist somewhere.
Yes. And like I said before, an author. You also produced some different content on YouTube.
Yes.
And am I missing anything else? And one of my best friends.
Oh,
so is anything else that I'm missing?
Well, I mean, I feel like there's room for improvement. So give me the title right away. It's fine.
Well, you remember and I said this. You were at my birthday party,
yeah,
and I said this at the party. I don't really. The only concept I have of best friend is best friends, and the reason why is I don't think I've ever had like a best friend. Because I've had a lot of long-time best friends.
Yeah, well, I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but you are my best friend.
Oh.
So just in case you felt any pressure, to tell me something.
Yeah, well, Brian, you're my.
I'm up there.
Yeah, you're up there,
right there.
Let me try to kind of walk around that so I don't have to. Like say that, well, you're not my best friend.
Yeah, I mean, you would have been the best man at my wedding.
Oh,
but I couldn't trust you to show up on time.
That's true. Time out. You know why? And for the record, I was late to his wedding, and I am never late to weddings. Well, I'm not really on time to weddings, but I'm not really late to weddings because normally the time that people give is like, okay, here's when everybody should show up, and then here's where we're going to start giving out drinks, and then here's when we're going to let them into this other room, and then everybody's going to stand around there for a while a bunch of other people that come late.
Yeah, who has time for that shit?
Yeah, exactly. So I come fashionably fashionably on time, I should call it, to weddings.
I'm surprised most people don't use that.
Fashionably on time. But I will say that I was late to your wedding.
Yeah.
And but
the footage.
But whose fault was that, Brian?
I mean, we don't have to tell the whole story. I'm sure there's shared blame.
Yeah.
You can blame the girl you were dating at the time. She's gone now. And we don't talk about
we could blame her.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't be accurate.
Yeah.
But we could.
It'd be fun.
It'd be fun. So, just for the story, so we're not leaving any cliffhangers here, is you were hanging out with me and my girlfriend at the time the night before your wedding.
Yeah.
And you told me a time, because we had asked, we're like, hey, what time should we be there tomorrow? And you told us the time, which was an hour later than we were supposed to be there.
And I did what a lot of people do the night before they're about to get married. I drank with my friends. You didn't ask me at the beginning of the drinking. You asked me near the end.
True. And you were close. You were definitely close. Close.
No, I was in the ballpark.
Yeah,
I made it on time.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did. And hey, it wouldn't have felt right unless I was running down the side aisle while everybody's staring at me at your wedding. And at first I was like, I came and I was so disappointed because I was like, oh, they're up. And actually, when I came up, I saw your lovely wife was about to walk down the aisle. I'm like, oh, I cannot.
Yeah, you can't walk in.
I can't walk in right now. And so then I'm like standing off in the back, and then she walks all the way down the aisle, and then I see you see me, and I see you, and I'm like, oh crap. And then I see everyone that knows me give me the look like, oh, there's Chasom. He's late. And then I'm like, man, I can't explain to everybody that it wasn't my fault.
It's like, everybody mark your bingo cards.
Yeah, no, like,
Jason's late. Yep. That's the free square.
Yep. Jason's late again. Here we go. And so then I was going to sit toward the back, and then you gave me the get up here signal.
Come on, big
come on.
I already put someone else in the best man spot. You can get on the end. You're fine.
So I went up there, and the rest was history.
Yeah, everything else without a hitch.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that, I don't know if I've told you this story before, but you definitely were there. But we got married at a hotel that's right across the street from Disneyland. And we planned it as an evening wedding because we thought every night during the summertime, this big fireworks display right in the sky. And, we're not rich or anything like that, but who wouldn't want the opportunity to have a big fireworks display going off at their wedding? And so
that's a very Brian Clark thing.
Yeah, like we can co-opt this whole fireworks display and use it to our advantage, and they can foot the bill for the fireworks at my wedding.
Perfect.
Nobody else has fireworks at their wedding. So the appointed time comes, and we had the DJ make a special announcement. All right, everybody go out to the parking lot. We're going to all celebrate Brian and Sarah's union with a glorious fireworks display. And so me and my tux and my wife in her wedding gown and the entire bridal party and groom's party and everybody filters out to the parking lot of this hotel.
Get a little closer to the mic.
Everyone goes out to the parking lot of this hotel and stares at the sky for 10 minutes. And waits.
Did they know what they were staring?
Yeah, they knew.
Okay.
And if you have been around Disney as much as I have, you know that sometimes you go to the fireworks show and you can wait on Main Street and they will make an announcement on Main Street. Ladies and gentlemen, due to high winds at high altitudes, tonight's fireworks show may be canceled. Please stand. And there's always like a groan that goes through the crowd. Oh! Please stand by. A decision will be made in just a few moments. And so you wait. Okay, so we were doing that, but we're doing it across the street from Disneyland where there is no PA announcement. So we don't know what the final decision is. And so we just wait and wait. And meanwhile, this is in the middle of like any party. A wedding's a big party, wedding reception. Momentum is really important. to a party.
Yeah.
So we got everyone,
Especially a wedding.
Especially a wedding. So everyone's dancing and boozing, and the DJ stops the music. Everyone, will you just go out to the parking lot, please? You're really gonna love this. This is gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be a huge fireworks display.
Special surprise.
Special surprise. Let's bring it in. And I got the wedding photographer like poised behind Sarah and I, so that when the fireworks start going off, we will kiss, and then they will get like a big picture. They're all ready. Like we've prepared them. The videographer's there. They're capturing with 2 different cameras. And the fireworks display was canceled.
At what point, who announced?
I think I called it. Like,
okay.
Or somebody did. But like we're sitting there waiting, and then someone makes the first joke, and like, well, maybe there's high altitudes, and everyone's like, a little titter goes through the crowd. And ultimately, the decision had to be made to restart the wedding, and everyone files back in. But now the momentum is completely dead.
Yeah.
What is it going to happen? Celebrate good times. Come on.
Yeah. You went there. That's like the worst part about weddings for me. Is like I could guess the songs that are going to play.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh, here we go. You know what? I think kind of to tie the two subjects together, and like this isn't the first podcast I recorded. I actually recorded a podcast a long time ago. You weren't there.
Yeah, I know, because you're breaking my heart right now that I wasn't part of your first podcast. Go ahead.
You know, it was a random thing. We were like, everybody was at my house, and like I had a recording studio at my house.
You tell me it didn't mean anything, and like whatever.
Well, we never released it.
Just skank, it's whatever. It wasn't like
we never released it. You weren't there. I don't know what to tell you, Brian. You weren't there.
Yeah.
And so we recorded it, and one of the topics was weddings. And just how half the group, there was like 6 of us in the podcast, actually. It's kind of interesting.
It's almost like my story would have been perfect for your inaugural podcast.
Yeah. Well, you weren't married yet. Yeah, so. Yeah, that's how long ago it was. And this was before even podcasts really existed. It was more just like the idea of, I always had this idea that, I like talking to, interesting people and having really interesting conversations. And there was many conversations that I had. I was like, damn, I wish I would have recorded that just to hear that conversation again. Mm-hmm. And so, actually what I did for a little while was I would interview people and record them, and then I would play music to it. Like afterward, like almost like a jam session.
Yeah, I think I've heard a couple of those actually.
Okay, so yeah, you might have been to some at the studio. Yeah. And then, so I just did that as a side fun project, and then one time that just happened to stumble it into my house. But to the weddings, kind of the topic was, which was kind of funny at the time, was like half the group hated weddings, half the group loved them. Ooh. And go ahead.
So we could hash this out.
Yeah. So are you a lover or a hater?
Of weddings?
Yeah.
No, I hate them. And I mean,
you're a hater of weddings.
No, yeah, it's so. Yeah. First of all, I don't like any occasion where I have to follow a dress code. You're basically beholden to the whims of people that you may or may not know very well. But so, like, they tell you what to wear. They tell you when to be there, Chasom.
Where to sit.
What table you're going to be at. They make you choose your entree like 3 months in advance. And like, God help you if you have any sort of objection or you can't make it because it's their special day. And you're like,
we paid $50 for you to. It's like, I'll send you the $50.
Or like, if you're in the wedding, then all of a sudden you've got to get a matching suit, or for the ladies a matching gown.
Yeah,
then you got to go to a thing, and you got to. Upend your life. It's not my wedding. Like, well, it was my wedding once, but like, it's not my wedding. Why do I gotta jump through all these hoops? It's your special. Can I just show up? Thankfully, and then you have to buy a gift, or you're an asshole. You got to buy one of these things from this list, and everyone's already bought the cheap shit. So you got to like decide just how much you love this person, and do I love them like $120 mixer that they're never going to use,
that they specifically wanted
for some reason.
Yeah, I have I don't know if I should air this, but I've never gone on somebody's registry and bought them a gift off it. I think my ex-girlfriend did. And so that was like
in your name?
Yeah, in our name.
And you got pissed because he was like, you kind of broke my streak and I didn't give my consent.
I don't mind getting somebody a gift. It's just so, well, kind of what you were saying, but it's like so cliche. Like the whole thing to me is like, it's a play that I've seen before, and it's just different actors, and it's like, okay, like here, let me just sit here for a while and just uncomfortable chair, and then just barely hear like what you guys are saying, and then the priest is gonna make some joke about how the guy's life is, he'll never have control of anything ever again, and then like, and everybody laughs at the same joke at the same time, and then like the cake thing, and then one of them's gonna put some cake in the other one's face, and then they play the same songs. Or it's like, I've seen this play.
Let's fight over the garter.
Let's fight over the garter. And then the guys that like don't want to catch it, and like,
so bashful.
And it's like, oh gosh, man, and then they put like sand together, or two becomes one, whatever ritual they decide. Because okay, everyone watch as two candles light one candle. It's like, oh my gosh, and you might as well just be wearing like goat heads and horns, and just like, I don't need to see two different colors sand get into, and I've never seen that sand in anyone's living room. It's like, it's just too much of a play. There was one time, it was, I went on a boat. Hey, if you ever get invited to a boat wedding, it's like the same bad play, but it's in fast forward. Because the boat's like, hey, did you get to buy the 2-hour version of the wedding or the 4-hour version of the wedding?
I like that. And
like, it hits all the beats, but it's like, okay, everybody go upstairs. Okay, we're going to cut the cake. Okay, go downstairs. And we're going to tell a joke, do a speech. And then, okay, go upstairs. They're going to kiss. So like, just all the normal beats. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're back, docked. Okay, everybody get off. It's like, oh man, that was 2.5 hours. Good job.
Sounds like
great wedding.
The code.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, because part of the control thing is like you're walking into a gauntlet that has been set up that you know, to the whims of usually the bride, but sometimes the bride and the groom, and you have to run this gauntlet whether you want to or not. And God help you if it's a destination wedding, because now they're probably not going to pay your way. So now you have to either be the jerk that's not going to get the Southwest Fun Fair to Hawaii or wherever it is. And now I got to make this a wedding. It can be something that just takes up your Saturday. But what if it takes up 4 days?
Yeah, and it's like a resort. So you're just like, it's like
you don't want to leave the resort. Like, it's not a real vacation. Like, you know how I take vacations.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to go to Hawaii, I'm going to research everything about the island that we're going to, find out what cool stuff there is to do, book probably a tour of some sort, or book a reservation at a restaurant or something like that. I'm going to show up at Hawaii, and then some party planner I've never met before hands me an itinerary of all of the different wedding-related festivities.
Yeah, you got to be here, and hey, wear this type of shirt. Yeah. And you're just extending the ritual of the whole experience.
Yeah, you got to go to Tommy Bahama for your...
Yeah, exactly. And everybody wear something blue or something like that. It's like, although I will say, I recently went to a destination wedding in, what was it, Cancun maybe? And you would think it's like totally cliche. It was actually pretty good. It was like, they just picked a good spot, and I think that makes a difference too. So if you're going to go to a destination wedding, go to a good spot.
All right, so you got your boat wedding and your Cancun wedding. I think I just need better friends.
Yeah.
And you're my best friend, so what does that say?
I don't know. And well, hey, wait till my wedding. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, move the needle on best friend. We'll see what happens at your wedding.
You might have scored some points.
Yeah. Man.
Well, we are Glacier Boys.
We are in this room with your brother.
Oh, yeah. So, how you doing over there, Josh?
Tough competition.
Good. And everything recording okay.
Our level's good.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be recording this whole time.
No, we're all set. Quality.
I was just waiting for you guys to say something interesting.
Oh, great. Well, let's talk about that Glacier Boy. Like where we got that name. Did you know where the Glacier Boys, Josh?
Now, I've heard you talk about it, but I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, it was where did that come
I
from?
think you guys made me an honorary Glacier.
Oh yeah,
For
Josh.
a brief moment, I got a taste of that.
I might have had too much to drink one night. I don't know if we could just hand out honorary Glacier Boy titles, but
I
It was a temporary thing. I think you rescinded it. You said for tonight only.
I sobered up.
Glacier
morning,
Boy. Probably in Germany, Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said for tonight you're with us. Other than that,
yeah, you wake up, you are Glacier Boy no more.
Hey, I'd rather die being a Glacier Boy for a day than never be a Glacier Boy at all. That's so. The Glacier Boys. It's a rap group that we started. We're a musical group, a duo.
can you guys sing something?
We rap. Too Hot to Be Cold was our hit.
Yeah, it's more of a freestyle depending on our setting.
Yeah.
Nothing set in stone.
No, yeah, we just make up the rap as we're traveling, and it all came from because we were, I don't know,
In Iceland.
Yeah, in Iceland, and we were like, I think it came when we were going around. So when we arrived in Iceland, which was an interesting trip, was because it wasn't getting dark there. So all I remember was at midnight, we're driving in the middle of nowhere. And we got there and our plan was we'll sleep a little bit and then we'll just go out of there.
Yeah.
And then Brian didn't want to sleep.
Yeah, I was the asshole.
Yeah, so I was like, ugh. And I was like, oh, it's so tired. But I'm like, all right, whatever. Just went in Iceland. So then we just started driving. We were driving forever. I actually got a cool time lapse of that drive. But we were there and then we got to like some fall and like it was freezing and we're in Iceland and we're just like we're in the middle of nowhere. We're like yelling like we're the only ones here. And I think somewhere along that line of that journey we're like we're the Glacier Boys, then Too Hot to Be Cold, and then it just that whole trip, and then from then on it was Glacier Boys for life.
Yeah, no matter where we were the Glacier Boys.
And what did we call our second album?
I don't know. Was it from the Flughafen to the Hauptbahnhof?
That's when you and I remember. Yeah.
I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but
yeah, whatever. It's just something when we travel, then we turn into the Glacier Boys.
Yeah.
But
that whole trip came about. Should I tell the story of the of why we even took that trip to Iceland in the first place?
Yeah, please do, because I don't even remember.
All right. Well, so my wife has this friend named Nikki. That's her best friend. And Nikki made plans with my wife to take her and the children to Las Vegas for a week.
Oh, I kind of remember this. Okay, go on.
And she basically asked, after the plan was already made, if it was okay with me. I was a little butthurt by it. I was like, oh, look. You just making plans to take the children for a whole week?
Yeah, wasn't there something, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there some element of like the plan had been made and like it was coming up soon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting
there. Yeah. Hey, honey. I'm going to Vegas.
Yeah.
With my friend.
And with the children.
Well,
so
yeah, with the kids.
And so I was butthurt for about 5 minutes. And then during that 5 minutes, I was like, And I should probably also say that my wife told me as part of that conversation, hey, what's the big problem? I'm taking the kids out of town. You can do whatever you want for the week. She said, you can do whatever you want for that week.
She regretted those words.
Almost immediately she regretted those words. But at that moment, I thought to myself, you know what? I got a best friend named Chasom that travels at the drop of a hat. It's always down. That's my boy Chasom. I could do whatever I want. Why don't I just call up Chasom and find out, hey, I've got a whole week that we could just do whatever we want. What do you want to do?
Oh, yeah. And I remember that. And then I was like, I've been thinking about going to Iceland.
Yeah. And it just so happened that there was a low-cost airline called WoW Air.
Yeah, which no longer exists, by the way.
No longer. No, they went under because it was really cheap. And
yeah, they sucked. They sucked really bad. That was a horrible airline.
Wow,
and I made major complaints and never got my money back.
Well, okay, so what happened is Chasom and I powwow for a little bit. We plan this trip. We're going to go to Iceland, and then from there wherever. We're that close to Europe. It's not important.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. But we got a week.
Yeah. We'll end up somewhere on the mainland.
We could do a lot in a week, and we did. But
yeah, we did. Damn.
What happened was 2 weeks before we were supposed to go, I still didn't tell my wife that I had made plans.
Oh yeah, and every time we would talk, we'd be like, "Oh my gosh,
this is gonna be." We were thinking this is gonna be so great. She's gonna be in Vegas with the kids, and she's gonna like FaceTime, and I'll be like, "Guess what? I'm in
Iceland!
Iceland, baby, Glacier Boys!"
Yeah, Glacier Boys.
And so, 2 weeks beforehand, she tells me, "Look, the plans fell through, so I need you to watch the kids on that weekend." So I can go away with another friend for the weekend because my friend Nikki canceled on me, and that's when I had to like take a big gulp and just tell her, "Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that."
There's something you should know.
Well, you told me I could do whatever I want, so I booked a trip with Chasom.
I'm doing whatever I want.
You said I could, like, we could go back to the videotape. But you could, like, I'm doing whatever I want. And it's just like, well, where are you going to be? And it, like, I remember there was like the longest pause. I just said, Iceland. She goes, it's not even on her radar at all that we would be going to Iceland. She's like, you're going to go to fucking Iceland? And I remember it was one of the most because I was in the right technically, like it was fine. Like I was told I could do whatever I want.
Yeah, it's just Iceland.
And it really is not my fault. But like I understood the position that she was in. She just took for granted that I was just going to be hanging around that week.
Yeah, she probably meant like, look, you can go see whatever movie you want.
Yeah, you can eat out by
go
yourself.
Catch a ball game.
Yeah, you can go.
Nope. I'm going to Iceland,
You can go to
and I'm not telling you till I get there, and then I'm gonna FaceTime you. When you're in Vegas, gosh, it was a good plan. I will give you that. It was
if
a
she had
good
gone
plan.
to Vegas, that would have been the greatest plan. Because it would have been like, oh, you're taking the kids without asking me? Okay, cool. Well, enjoy Vegas. And when you're FaceTime with me, guess what? I'm going to be like sitting on a glacier in Iceland. It was funny in my head.
No. It was so good. You had it planned to, you're like, okay, she'll probably go to sleep at like this time. Yes. And then we'll be on the plane. And then when we get to Iceland, then I can't answer the phone for like 2 hours. And then we'll get somewhere cool. And then when she calls, we'll FaceTime and we'll be like on a glacier.
He is describing exactly how I laid it out to him.
It's such a good plan. And then her plans fell through. And
then all of a sudden I'm the asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
I did not see
Iceland.
That. That's a plot twist. I did not see that coming.
Oh my gosh, there's something else about that story that I was going to say, but I don't remember. It just was like the highlights of that were that hotel that we stayed at.
Yeah, the hotel,
the Silica Hotel.
The Silica awesome. Hotel, beautiful
That's a great
hotel.
Place. Anybody who goes to Iceland to go to the Blue Lagoon, did I get it right?
Yeah.
Then go to the Silica Hotel. It's kind of it's a little pricey to stay there at night, but it's so worth it. It was like it was awesome.
Really posh,
at least a night.
Beautiful architecture. It was like in the middle of like all this lava rock.
Yeah.
This huge like span of just this weird. It felt like like another planet. And then there's this beautiful, ultra modern stone and wood hotel built into it that also had its own blue lagoon as well that you could use. And like a 5-star restaurant.
Yeah, I have expected like there to be like an AI girl walking around. Like
there probably is now.
Yeah, well, just like whatever that movie was that had that, it was like it looked like that when I saw that movie.
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I've been there. I've been to that place. And yeah, how did you? Well, I don't remember how your wife reacted. Was she just? Well, I wasn't there, obviously.
Well, this is before the trip, so obviously, for the trip, by the time I left for the trip, she knew I was going, and she was not happy.
Yeah.
But
yeah, she has her moments. What was that? What was that text you got earlier? This is great. Right before we started recording. So let me give a little backstory. So I asked Brian to be on the podcast. This is something I wanted to do, and of course, Brian, I'd love to have you on. I'm so glad you're on. Thank you very much for being on. And but we had to like set it up, and so like we had all this stuff, and we had to find this cord and do all that, and so it took a little extra time. Sorry about that, but thanks for being a good sport. And but we got it going, and here we are.
Yep.
And so right before we started recording, Brian gets a text from his wife, and then let me hand it to you.
Yeah, because you're not telling the story in linear fashion.
Oh,
so
sure.
Let me go back a little bit. As you know, or maybe you don't know because I don't know when you're listening to this, but it is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. And if you are listening to this long in the future, you'll probably remember what was going on in the world in June of 2020.
Oh, yeah.
We had this COVID situation. And not only do we have the COVID situation, which we can talk about in a bit, but we also have the George Floyd riots / controversy / looting situation that's happening right now. And in our current area, there are a few protests. And the last few, over the last weekend, it is currently, what is it, Monday? So Saturday and Sunday there were protests, and today's Monday.
Yeah.
No.
And there's a ton of them going on tonight.
Right.
Like,
but Saturday and Sunday they were violent, and there was looting.
Oh, they're violent tonight.
Oh, okay.
You just haven't heard yet.
Maybe I'm being overly optimistic. We can talk about these later in the podcast, but I'm seeing reports that at least today's were pretty good in Anaheim and in LA, that they were pretty measured as opposed to the weekend.
I literally got this was a call I got not right before we started recording about one of the shops on fire. And I was like, okay, it's all gone, done. And then like, yeah, I'm like, well, nothing we can do about that. Okay, I'm gonna go do a podcast. Thanks.
Okay, all right. Well,
okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
As you know, right now, we're in a time of uncertainty and fear, and in our area, in Orange County, there is a curfew, and curfews are being met in various parts of the world with either like militaristic lockdown or it's just like a suggestion. They're just trying to keep everybody safe. In the area that we're in right now, this podcasting studio is about 2 miles away from my home. So it's a very easy drive. But there was the risk of me leaving the house and running into some trouble between here and the podcast studio. So I told my wife, look, don't worry. As soon as I get to the podcast studio, meaning I have made it successfully there, I will send you a text that says, I'm inside the podcast studio and I'm safe. Don't worry about it.
She made you look me in my eye.
Yeah.
And tell me you'll be safe, Brian. You're like, yes, I will text you as soon the moment I get there.
I promise.
Oh, promise. Oh,
so,
okay. All right, there's some context to now I'm getting the text even more.
And then I also said, and don't worry, she's like, are you going to be out late? Is it going to be a long night session? And you know how it goes sometimes, especially with something like this we had to set up. I didn't want to say, well, I'll be back by 11. It's currently 12:42 a.m. I said, it might be a late one. I don't know. It depends on how long it takes us to get started. But I'll tell you what. So you're not up late worrying whether I'm out there bleeding on the sidewalk because I left at 9 p.m. or whether I'm still recording at, say, 12:42 a.m. I'll text you when I'm leaving the studio, too. Okay? So that way you know, if I'm in transit, you'll know that I made it where I'm going safely.
Okay.
So I arrive at the podcast studio, and as soon as I come inside, first of all, I'm waiting about 10 minutes outside because I think you haven't showed up yet. So I'm waiting outside.
My car was right. You're waiting right next to my car.
I saw
just for
several
the
cars.
Just for the record. But I walked out.
Cars, I didn't know which one. It's not important.
All right, sorry. I digress. Go on.
I'm sitting there in the car all this time. I'm going to play devil's advocate here. All this time, I could have texted my wife and said, I'm right outside the podcast studio.
Yeah, that's true.
The 10 minutes go by. I finally get in touch with you. Oh, you're upstairs. Well, come and let me in. You let me in. I meet a very nice guy named Dylan. And we get into a conversation. He's a composer for video games.
And then
he's
some.
just a composer.
You know, he just actually, side note, he just did a Bob Marley documentary. And he sent me the link. It's awesome. So props to Dylan.
Yeah. I meet this guy. I really liking the cut of his jib, so to speak. We're talking about movie soundtracks. We're talking about all the different equipment he's using to score these things. I'm getting kind of into the conversation.
Yeah, you're the only two people on the planet that ever, like, I'm glad you two met, because I gotta be honest with you, whenever you talk about composers, I have no idea who you're talking about. And whenever Dylan talks about composers, I have no idea who he's talking about. And so I understand music, but like the famous composers, and man, you guys were just.
It was great.
Jib jab. I was like, wow. All right, I'm just gonna let them be. I'll go set up the podcast.
Let's be honest. I don't talk about composers that often.
No, you don't. But you do.
When you find an opportunity,
to
talk composers with somebody, I was really into it. So I want to make this very clear. As soon as I walked in the door, I immediately got into a really good conversation with somebody that I had never met before, and I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I met this guy. About
something that you never talked to anybody about, that you would love to talk to somebody about.
So, listening audience at home, I forgot. Okay? That's the honest truth.
Yeah.
My wife, who is naturally a little suspicious anyway.
Okay. Honey, okay. Hey, I understand there's writing going on outside, but I got invited to go on a Chasom's podcast. So I have to go.
And I'll text you when I get there.
I'll text you and she's like, you got to go to a podcast at 10 o'clock at night? Okay, sure.
So literally 45 minutes after I've left the house, I still have not texted my wife. And she knows it's 5 minutes away.
Oh, yeah. We heard you getting ripped.
Oh, my God. So she doesn't call. She doesn't text. She FaceTimes. Because then the FaceTime, everyone, is when your wife thinks you are with some bitch. Because I'm not going to even give you the chance to step outside. I want you to pick up the phone right now, and I want to see...
I want to see your surroundings.
Yeah.
I want to see if you're with the people that you said you're with.
Oh, God. And I was. That's the thing. I was.
Yeah, I saw you angling the phone trying to get me in the shot with your
Let me get Chasom in there. Let me make sure that
I was purposely getting out. As you kept trying to get me in, I was purposely getting out of the shot just to fuck with your wife.
Do you think that my wife... No, do you think any woman would believe that I just happened to meet a guy that's a composer and we had to have a really good conversation about the people that write the soundtracks for movies?
If I heard it, I would say...
That sounds
this guy's cheating on me. That's what I'd say.
I'm probably having an around the world at the Playboy Mansion or something.
No.
I mean, I should be something.
Oh, the old you ran into someone else that talks about composers excuse,
really?
Huh, honey?
Yeah, put this Hans Zimmer on the phone. Yeah. Anyway, so she's pissed and she's like, and she finally hangs up on me without getting the FaceTime. And then...
Okay. I think we've set the scene. Okay. Let's get to the text.
Okay. So I finally get to FaceTime with my children. She won't look me in the face. But the children are talking to me, and the children have very stern faces. And so I'm showing the children...
But they're mad at you too?
No, but you have to understand what they're sitting right next to.
Yeah, got it.
There's a shitstorm.
There's a vibe in the room.
Oh, yeah. There's a shitstorm brewing.
All right.
So I'm talking to them, and I'm purposely showing them around the recording studio that I'm currently in, and how there are no chicks anywhere. Not a single one.
Oh, man, now you're making my podcast sound... There's chicks everywhere in this studio. What are you talking about?
Are you kidding? There's all this...
You just haven't gone in... You've been in that room. You haven't gone in the D room. That's where all the chicks are hanging out right now.
They're all hanging out. They're resting. Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the damn text.
Right,
this is the longest story. I almost am regretting asking you about the text. This is the longest story to get to the text I've ever heard.
Well, I had needed to pull out my phone.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. So I finally, after that all goes down, I sit down, I've set up the podcast, we're about to start recording the podcast, and so I send her, this is at almost midnight, so I realize I'm going to be out late.
Yeah. Because we hadn't started yet.
We haven't even started rolling tape. And I say, it is going to be a late one. Send. A minute goes by. I will still text when I leave here, no matter what the hour. But I'm still safely in the studio. Don't worry. And
that's a very nice text, by the way.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
She replies back with one word. Whatever.
And that's why I like your wife.
I'll tell her you said that.
Because that was
next time she's speaking to me.
That was that was a very sincere try. Like, hey, just so you know, I know you're probably concerned. I'm having a lovely time. I'm safe.
Yes.
I hope I'm just connecting with you again, just because I'm sure you're worried about it. And whatever.
I planted a seed. It grew into a flower. I clipped the flower. I pruned the flower. I put it into a card. I wrapped it up with a bow, and I handed it to her. And she said, "Whatever."
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know why the end of that story just reminded me of. It's probably like one of my top 5 most embarrassing stories of my life, and it was when I was in 4th grade. So like when I was 4th grade, but it's got to be pretty traumatic. And this story isn't going to be great, but like, so I wasn't. I was kind of. My family didn't have a lot of money when I was a little kid, and so like, but I had a girlfriend in 4th grade, and that's what 4th grade was when the first years that I was really like. Had like a serious girlfriend. I probably had one in like 2nd grade, but I don't remember. But like 4th grade, I remember. Like I cried when my girlfriend broke. She broke up with me.
Oh,
she broke up with me
twice. God. I can't believe we're sitting here doing a podcast with you, loser.
Lori Davis. Damn, Lori. I cried.
Where you at now, Lori?
Lori Davis. I can't believe she broke my heart. But taught me what heartbreak was. So thank you, Lori.
Whatever.
It's what could have been. And you know what? I don't even know. So, like, hey, 4th grade. You know how it is in 4th and 5th, 6th, 7th grade, like all those grades. You kind of like pass around, like not pass around, but you kind of like you have a group of friends and they all end up dating or going out or whatever they call it at some point.
I had different friends, I guess.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, really? No. Oh, that was the thing. Probably like every group of friends. All of us dated every single one of us. It was interesting. I don't know if we were close or why. I'll have to analyze that one day. But all I remember is the gifts that I would give because I never had money to give gifts, and it was always like a thing, like on Valentine's Day or their birthday or Christmas. There's always some other damn holiday. Like being married must be tough, man. It's like then you throw in an anniversary on top of it. It's like every other month. You have to come up with something crazy and special.
No comment.
Yeah. But you're a good gift giver. But I remember, like, I was like, shit. Like, my girlfriend at the time, I think it was Lori. It might have been one of the other 4th grade girls.
Jeez, look at you.
I know. And they called me and they were coming over, and I was like, damn, I don't have a gift. So I was like, what can I give? And I was like this weird kid. I had a bunch of stuffed animals as a kid. Okay. And I'm like, what's that?
Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah. I can feel your judgment. It's fine. Yeah, you know what? And I was really weird. I was really weird about stuffed animals for whatever reason. That story for another time. But I would always make sure they were all tucked into the bed. My mom, like, I would never sleep in the bed. I would always make sure like the 10 stuffed animals were all comfortable and had a pillow and like all this stuff. And I'd like sleep on the floor. And then my mom would get up and I'd be so tired, and she would like put me on the bed and then knock over all the stuffed animals. And in my half sleep head, I would be like, she just moved all the stuffed animals. Anyway, so
how will they ever get some rest?
I just set up all that stuff, and now you screwed it up, Mom. And so then I'd have to fake sleep till she left, and then set the whole damn thing up again. And so anyway, so my stuffed animals were important to me. In 4th grade, they weren't as important to me, but girlfriend was coming over. I needed a gift, and I was like, damn. So I'm like looking at the stuffed animals. That's all I got. And I'm like, okay, which one am I going to do? And there was this duck. I was like, I'm not as attached to I'm not as attached to this stuffed animal. And then like, so she comes, I give her the stuffed animal and her friends are all there and this or that. And I was like, okay, we all like hung out in front of the house or whatever. And then they left. And then later I found out this was devastating. It still haunts me to this day. One of her friends told me, you gave her a used stuffed animal. And I was like, oh my gosh.
But it was you.
No, I didn't. I lied. I totally lied. I said, no. What are you talking about? Like, I got her a stuffed animal. And then they're like, no, it was all dirty. I was like, and then if I flash back, I remember the tag. Like, stuffed animals have a little tag. It was all like frayed. And I was like, they probably saw that damn tag. I should have cut the tag off. Never again when I gave a stuffed animal did it have a tag on it. It's horrible. It haunts me, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously she's the one that got away.
Yeah.
You need to track her down immediately.
Laura Davis. I don't even know if it was her, but it was one of the 4th grade girls.
Okay, then it doesn't sound like you're very scarred by this issue.
No, well, I am as far as like giving gifts.
You've gotten much better at it. I'll tell you that.
Have I? Why do you say that?
Last gift you got me was the Oregon Trail. You got me a
that's a hell of a gift.
No. The last gift you got me was a Hofbrau Stein from like a legit, authentic one from Oktoberfest.
Yeah,
to commemorate our last trip.
Well, you know who else got a Hofbraustein?
I don't want to hear who else you're giving gifts to.
Well, he was a Glacier Boy.
Oh, okay.
For that trip.
Honorary Glacier Boy.
All the Glacier Boys got to have the Hofbrau Stein. Yeah, I will give myself credit. And the Oregon Trail was a good gift.
It's a great gift. My kids love it.
Yeah, I got one for. I think everybody got Oregon Trail like last year because I was like, this is the coolest game.
Yeah, it was such a blast.
Died of dysentery.
No. I played with my son. And you would not understand the devastation that occurred when I played with my son for like an hour and a half. We got to the very, very end of the Oregon Trail. And the last thing is, we had so much money.
I can't believe you got to the end of Oregon Trail. That like
really
blows my mind.
Oh no, it's like you just had an hour and a half.
I've played Oregon Trail since it was a floppy disk that you would put into a computer, and the screen was curved, and it was DOS. It was a DOS version of Oregon Trail, and all I know about that game is you never get to the end. You always die of dysentery, or you die of like run out of food, or your damn wagon. If another axle breaks,
or a tongue.
What's that?
And there was a wagon tongue. You had to keep your wagon tongues and your clothes. The thieves would come in the night and steal your clothes.
And your clothes, like
man, that's a harsh frontier, man.
And then all I would want to do is go hunting. That was like the fun part. You're like,
fun.
Hell, maybe I'll get a buffalo or a rabbit.
But you can only carry back 100 pounds of meat with you.
Yeah, I know. And you'd be like, it was 1,000 pounds. It was 1,000-pound buffalo. Good job. I provided for the family. Only 100 pounds. And then my damn family would go through that in 3 days.
Right. And then you're out hunting.
And then you're running low on damn bullets.
Yeah. Okay, well.
Okay, go on. Sorry. You got to the end somehow.
Oh my God. We were doing so fucking well. I don't need to tell you. Like we had extra of everything. We had extra wheels, extra axles, extra tongues. Okay, damn. We had like $500 left. Okay, we get to the last. There's a river, and you can either pay like somebody to get you across.
Yeah,
like you just pay a guide $100. And I didn't know we were right at the end. So, we have $500. I'm like, or you could cock the wagon.
Like $100 for a river ride. I don't know about
that. 1/5 of what we have. Or you could cock the wagon and then, take it down the river as but it was like a video game thing where you had to steer and and it was like this 8-bit steering. Like you would hit this stream. So, of course, I chose to save the money. Okay,
you cheap bastard!
Oh my God, we saved the money. We put the wagon on. It's like, we cocked the wagon and we're floating it down the river, and I hit every single rapid, every single tree, every single stone, and like as we're going down the thing, my son is losing his shit. He's like, he's sobbing, he's in tears, and then because like I named the members of our party after the members of our family. So then it says,
oh, so it's very traumatic.
So like
with somebody
you hit a rapid and Maverick fell out. My son's name is Maverick, everyone. So all of a sudden he's thinking, oh my God, I just fell out and drowned. And then like his sister falls out, and then his mom falls out, and then the last, like I keep trying to steer and I can't steer for shit. And I'm sitting there like, man, I should have just paid the ferry to get all the way across, because I played the game the very next day. We got to the end, and I had exactly $100 left, and I paid the guide. Then that was like the last step.
Wow.
And then you beat the Oregon Trail. And
your son is going to have a very dramatic memory.
You know what?
If he ever has to cross a river and has to make a decision, he's going to freak out. And his future wife's going to be like, honey, like, what's the big deal? Well, like, he's be like, you don't understand. You don't understand. We're going to lose our whole family.
Here's the punchline. What adds to the trauma is, I don't know if you remember the game, the Oregon Trail, but at the very, very end, okay, I
never got there.
They show you a gravestone with the person's name, and it said his name on a gravestone. Maverick, here lies Maverick. And the next time you play the game, if you die somewhere along the trail and you get to that point where you died before, you pass the grave and it shows you the grave of the person. So every time he plays the game, he passes his own grave right on his way to the finish line.
And
that was your gift from you.
And that, Your Honor, is why Maverick needs to go to the loony bin and not to jail for all the crimes he committed, because his father decided to kill him off. On Oregon Trail.
Not guilty.
not guilty. I played Oregon Trail too.
You, sir, have been cursed from birth.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that game. I got to get to the end one day. That's on the life. I'm adding that to the life list.
Okay, here's how you beat the Oregon Trail. All you do is load up on ammo, and don't spend any money on food. Okay, and then,
even at the beginning,
and be a banker. Be a banker.
Oh, banker.
Bankers start out with more money.
Okay.
Isn't there like an easy setting, or is that just being?
I think that's being a banker.
Being a banker.
So you beat it on easy?
No, I didn't, because we all crashed.
I tell you. Because you killed your son
in front
of your son.
I literally killed my whole family at the finish line.
Oh gosh! Hey, do you mind just pouring me a little more of this?
You used the magic word.
No, please, and I really thank you. Sorry, guys, we're getting a little refill. All right, that's good. That's good. Okay, so yeah, here it is. We're live. This is the podcast.
Should we take some calls?
Yeah. No, I think I might.
There's no one.
Josh.
Oh, the open phone lines.
It's not lighting up.
Come on, Josh. Do we have any calls?
Not yet.
You know what? When I was on the radio one time doing like some radio interview,
Is that with the poor man?
No. Oh yeah, this is with poor man. But there was this one caller one time. No, it wasn't that. Wait, what's that story?
You had me call in, and I didn't believe that you were on the radio. And he was like, he answered. He was like, "You're live," with, whatever. And I was like, "Am I?
Get the fuck out of here!"
On the radio right now with Chasom.
No way! I'm your biggest fan.
And he was like, "Yeah," like you were like, "Yeah, this is Chasom. What's up?" And I was like, Chasom, I love your music.
I'm like, wait.
They cut me off.
Like, all right. Next, thanks for that caller. No, there was another caller that was this girl I was dating, but I didn't know it was her calling in, and so she called in, and then like they were like saying they're like they're like, where are you from? And they gave some like weird city, and then we're all like, it was like Ceres or something like that. We're like, Ceres? I'm like, what? And then the host was like, are you making that up? They're like, no, we're like, where is it? And then they were like asking them questions, and they were like this. They weren't answering the questions what they were asking. It was like the weirdest thing. And then so like they got off, and we're all just like chatting about. I was like, really weird, dumb caller or whatever. And then later, I found out like a year later, the girl I was dating was then my girlfriend at the time, and she's like, we were just talking about it, and that came up or something, and she's like, oh yeah, that was me. I'm like, wait, you were the one that we were making fun of? So it was like this whole, anyway, it was this whole weird, very poor.
Did she think she was being cute about it? Like speaking in code? Like, he'll figure this out. I'll tell him I'm from Ceres and my name is Sarah. And so he'll put two and two together.
Well, I think she got nervous that she was on the radio.
Okay.
And then she handed it to her sister, and then her sister had no idea what was going on. And they were asking, and anyway, long story short, it was just, the funny part to me was, like, for a year, I just thought there was this really weird people called into radio stations, and then come to find out, the weird person was my girlfriend at the time. So, cheers to COVID.
Yeah. Should we talk about how are you doing with the self-isolation? Since I walked in here, no one's wearing a mask but me, and I felt like I'm the.
You were gonna wear your mask. Actually, it was kind of funny. I was chuckling, and don't take this the wrong way, but you're like, okay, I'll come in, but I guess I'll wear a mask or something. I'm just like, okay. Like, I think I'm just getting to that point where it's just like, I feel like masks are more the illusion of safety rather than safety. Because, like, they're... Like,
it makes people feel good to be around you. The strangers.
Yeah, and I totally... I guess I understand, like, if you're going into and going to be interacting with, like, the barista or something. And that's pretty much the only time I wear a mask. Unless I'm around old people. Then I'm like, okay. Well, because, and I had heard this, I don't know where I heard it, but the average age of a COVID death is higher than the average age of death. So once I heard that, I was like, okay, yeah, old people got to be careful. Obviously, somebody who has like respiratory problems or something like that. Right. So, and anybody that's in that type of scenario, then I try to, be respectful to them and this or that. But outside of that, yeah, just the mask thing. I'll wear that to the barista, but they're kind of like bacteria sponges, and like I looked up a little bit about like the masks and stuff. I'm like, there's kind of some drawbacks to wearing a mask. So,
well, I mean, you've traveled extensively in Asia. I took a trip with you to Asia, and while I haven't been there as much or as often as you have, I will say that I really did appreciate that part of Asian culture, because it is a common thing to see people that even have the slightest sniffle to be walking. And this is years ago. Yeah, and it's pervasive in the culture that they just think nothing of putting on a surgical mask and walking around. Yeah, you're spot on about that, and it was striking to me the first time. I'm like, why are they wearing masks? And then I caught on, and I think it's really great, and I think that it shouldn't be a mandate, but and also like when we get back to whatever some semblance of normal or the new normal is, I do hope that we are able to adopt that part of Asian culture. I think there's going to be a lot of things that we adopt from this. Like I think there's going to be a net positive. Like obviously, 100,000 people dead in the U.S. alone is net negative, but the net positive is going to be the things we take on culturally, because yes, like the mask thing, maybe when you're sick, and that might be like they do it all around a lot of places in the world. And so that thing, I think that also some of the things that we'll take back, a lot of people are going to be like working remotely. We kind of figured that out. Right. And there's so many cool things to that. Like, especially people with commutes that don't really, they do a commute, they go sit at a computer, and then they go
do a commute again to go back home. It's like, well, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours of somebody's day. Like, imagine getting those hours back. That's 10 hours, a week, 520 hours a year.
Right.
Like, when they didn't have to do that. So, I think there's definitely some benefits from it.
I think so too. And I think that that when we talk about what the new normal will look like, I think that most of the things that we take for granted is things that are just not COVID safe, like going to Disneyland or going to a concert where people are crammed in together. As I hate to like put my adult mindset and have that be the paradigm by which everyone else has to live, but I never really liked getting packed into the gills at a concert. I think if I could go to a concert and have everyone 6 feet apart, I think that would be fucking beautiful.
That's the older version of Brian.
Yeah, exactly. But
because there's something about, like, have you ever moshed, or have you ever like been like lifted up in the crowd and like this or that?
Yeah, I've been at concerts where it wasn't an official mosh pit, but I was in the pit, and all of a sudden there was just a huge surge of people that were pushing toward the stage, and I'm 6'1", and I've always been over 250 pounds most of my life. I'm a big guy. And I did not like it. I did not like the force of so many people that it takes a guy my size and lifts me off my feet to the point where I'm moving, not of my own volition, towards the stage. Like, that's fucking scary.
Yeah, there's that part of it.
Yes.
but
there's also the great communal experience. I get it. Like, being at a concert.
Well, when everybody's like singing at the same time, like,
yes.
Yeah, like, I think we'll get back to that because at some point we'll get a handle on it. Either we'll have created herd immunity, or we'll have created a vaccine, or we'll all just have said fuck it, and like, hey, like, we're all gonna. Probably a lot of us have already had it, and
well, that last bit, that fuck it, is I think where we are right now. Whether we choose to be there or not, or whether, and I'm feeling it in myself, and I'm seeing it in a lot of people that I love very much, and where everyone that I know, that I'm friends with, and I associate with, wants to at least think of themselves as someone that would do the right thing when asked. And they have been asked. But the thing is, they've been asked to do it for 2 months. And when you take away people's outlets, their patience starts to ebb, and you really have to be convicted. Like, have that kind of conviction, like, I am doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. It's working. We all need to get together, and we all need. Wait, that person's doing the wrong thing, and they're getting away with it. That's weird. Okay, but I'm doing the right thing. But all these people are hanging out, and they look they're having a lot of fun, but they're not social distancing. But shit. Okay, but I'm gonna do the right thing, and fuck all those people, and I'm doing the right thing though. And then you see so many penguins start going into the water, and you start to think, well, what the fuck am I doing up here on the glacier?
No,
you know what I mean? It's cold up here. And they're eating fish.
Well, you even did it tonight because you came in masked up, and everyone's coming in. You're like giving elbows to everybody, and that's definitely the appropriate thing to do. Right. And I think we're getting more used to that, and like people are like, "Oh, are you this or are you a touch feet or what?" Like whatever people do. So and then, but somewhere along the line between the time you arrived to now, you're like, "Fuck it."
Well, I had to be heard on the microphone.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, we could have got you.
I'll put the mask on. Do I sound different?
Slightly, but
Josh can tell us if the levels sound different. I definitely know that it affects my speech, and so if I had to have a conversation, I still have the mask on for people listening. If I still have to, I'm taking it off.
No.
If I have to have a conversation through like the drive-through window at the Del Taco, like, I'll keep it on.
Yeah.
But like, if I have to have like a podcast conversation, I'm not going to sit here and worry about the audio levels by being masked up. At some point, I'm going to have to take it down, and I have to make a conscious choice to do that.
Well, and there's going to be different things that you start to apply that logic to. It's like now, well, when restaurants are opening back up, and like I went with somebody to a restaurant, and they were saying, "Oh, did you bring a mask?" I was like, "How am I going to eat through the mask?" Like, no, I didn't bring a mask. I'm going to the restaurant, and we were like thinking about, we're like, oh, but and then I was like, well, shoot, maybe I should have. And then I'm like, wait, How am I going to drink and eat through a mask? And you don't wear masks in restaurants. So now that's like a thing. And then once you kind of, open that door, then it's just like, now you're just like, do I need it here? Do I need it there? And then we'll see. Like, we're going into summer, and cases are down. So it kind of seems like it's fading away till the second wave.
Right.
And then
I've heard it described as this by people that I'm close to. Okay. At some point, we all just have to throw up our hands and say, this is a consequence of living in a world that has viruses.
Yeah.
They were not wrong when they said that, but how strongly can we hold on to a tree branch when a tsunami is about to hit and say, all right, everybody just grab a tree branch. Here comes the tsunami. Hang on. And whoever dies. And then the rest of us will be just that much stronger. Like we have to live in a society. We have we have crawled out of the primordial ooze and built cities for ourselves to live in. And we simply cannot keep 6 feet apart for an extended period of time. And still live in the society that we have built. We have people that need to go to work. We have entire industries that have sprung up around people being able to work in close quarters. A little bit was fine. And again,
pretty much all our entertainment.
Yeah.
Is like, what entertainment do we have that isn't in a crowd? Like, if you think of like the basic thing, like sporting events, movies, concerts, like all that stuff, like you're doing it with other people.
Right. And those in each one of the music industry, the Broadway theater industry, the movie theater industry, and by extension to the movie theater industry, now we get into the Hollywood industry, the film production industry.
Mm-hmm.
All of these are industries that are built. What are you going to have movies where nobody ever kisses somebody else? Are you going to have movies where nobody ever has a love scene or a high five?
or they have to take off their masks.
We got Maverick, Top Gun, the Top Gun Maverick sequel that's coming out, and they're not going to feel the need for speed and high five each other. Like,
but people are already doing that. Like, I just in the last 2 weeks, I've already I guess I'm pretty used to giving the Indian howl signal or fist bump or elbow or whatever. That's my general move now, just naturally, and recently people have been shaking hands again, and now it's I'll just shake someone's hand, and people have been shaking my hand. I'm all I'm thinking is, this motherfucker's shaking hands now. He went for shaking hands.
I don't think we're there yet.
Hey guy, fist bump next time, and then on the way out I gave him a fist bump just so.
And see, I very quickly gravitated towards, and you were there right when we were about to go on a cruise. Right before everything shut down. And I was the guy banging the drum let's just go on the cruise, guys. What's the worst that could happen?
I still never been on a cruise. This was the time. I've been around the world a bit. I probably visited 40 countries or somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been on a cruise.
It's fantastic. People will bash on a cruise it's nothing but buffets and blah blah. That's germs and the circulated air or whatever. You're on a hotel that moves.
Sounds right. It sounds like they know it, especially around COVID.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Your hotel room moves to your location. And then you get off and you enjoy the location. You hop back into your hotel room and it moves.
What if your hotel sucks, though? Aren't you stuck there?
Well, don't get an inside stateroom. Get one with a window so you can see. And then it doesn't suck.
Is that all the difference, though? Here, my circle can see half blue, half white clouds and another shade of blue.
You'd be surprised what you feel deprived of when you don't have any windows.
I take that back. I did go on. I don't know if I'd call it a cruise. I would not call this a cruise. It was a boat. It was a cruise ship. Mm-hmm. Recently, when I went from Stockholm to here's a tip of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Is I was trying to get St. Petersburg, and I could not. I'll spare you the story, but you can't in January, but you can any other time of the year.
Interesting.
So I was damn it. I wanted to take a ferry over to St. Petersburg. It's on the life list. Go get into Russia. I got to get there at some point. So, but on the way to Russia is Estonia, which I never thought to go to. But if you ever get a chance, go to Estonia. It's awesome. It's like a hidden gem because it still has like the old Eastern Bloc.
Mm-hmm. I've heard.
But it also has like the medieval.
Did you go to Tallinn?
I did go to Tallinn. That's the place to go.
I've heard.
And the food's great. People were great. It's like beautiful people. And you have this like old and new. You have like 3 different sides all colliding. You have like the 1500s colliding with, or medieval times, let's say, colliding with the old communist Eastern Bloc, colliding with a modern, a country trying to become very, very modern and hip. And so that's just an interesting combination. I haven't seen in any other country that particular combination. It's great. So, long story short, get to Estonia, specifically Tallinn.
Well, my father-in-law went to Tallinn, Estonia, with a church group because it is the single most atheistic country on earth, more so than Sweden.
Really?
Yeah, and so
I wonder why.
He went there. I don't know. It's just maybe it has, but they were there to start a ministry and like fan the flames and try to start churches. And
did it work out, or did they get shunned?
I don't know. 5 years on, or how it worked out, but he had a great time. They went through Europe on the way up there, and then they spent some time playing with. He was with the band, and they played worship services. And
oh gosh, right there. That's where you lose me. I grew up going to Christian school.
Mm-hmm. I know, that's where I first met you.
No, yeah, shit, yeah. I never count that. I don't like. Yeah. But yes, we went to the same Westminster Christian.
Yep.
And that was like, I only went there for like 2 years, maybe.
Yeah, I had met you. We had played that game with it's like pool, but with little blocks of
a snooker. Wood. Oh wait, no, with little blocks of wood.
It was like a wooden board that was shaped like a golf course, but you shot little you had like a cue.
Yeah, snooker. Yeah. Okay.
So we met playing snooker, and the name Chasom you just don't forget.
Yeah, that's the beauty. I actually looked it up. I'm the only Chasom, at least in the United States.
Hey, well, come on, that's all that counts anyway.
There's some like Arab prince named Chasom. I'm sure he doesn't pronounce it the same.
He doesn't count.
So I followed him on Instagram. He followed me back. We both knew right when we both followed each other. We're like, we know you're Chasom. I'm a Chasom. Nothing more needs to be said.
Where does he live?
We just every once in a while, like he'll like one of my pictures, I'll like one of his pictures or something like that. But we chatted and we're like, hey, is your name really Chasom? He's like, yeah. Your name really Chasom? Yeah. Nothing more needs to be said at that point.
Wait. Okay, so we have to meet your name doppelganger. Where does he live?
He's like a Dubai prince or something. He's very fit. He's a very fit. He's a very fit gentleman. No, I'm not there yet.
No, but
I gotta get a little closer to him.
No, you gotta book a trip. You gotta get an audience with this guy.
At some point, I will. Of course, all Chasoms need to meet at some point. All both of them. And then there's this other damn band that formed named. Again, they're probably not pronounced Chasom.
Yeah.
But it's a band that formed because now, like, I'm getting like hits on all my music because I have music on like licensed music on Spotify and like different things, and like when Instagram, if you insert your song, like sometimes the lyrics come up, and so the company that does that hit me up and they're like, okay, well you got to like claim that, prove that I'm the real Chasom or whatever. So I was doing all that, and then I saw that they had some other Chasom song, or however they pronounce it, in my library of songs. I'm like, hell no, that is not my song.
Yeah,
I wouldn't take a picture like that. I don't sound like that. That's not me. And
he's not a transformer.
No, not at all. And so, cheers. So there's another band and there's another Chasom out there in the world.
We have to go to Dubai. Hang out with this guy. Dubai is the theme park capital of the world. Stole the title from Orlando.
They go
big. Weird ass theme parks.
They go big in Dubai. Like, and their whole thing is when like the dude that made it, his whole philosophy was everything we build is going to be the biggest and the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a Saudi prince. And brilliant guy, like he pulled it off. Like that was nothing. It was. I think the sister city, which was bigger at some point, was Abu Dhabi.
Right.
And the only reason I know that is because when I was a stockbroker, I thought it'd be cool to have all the clocks from all the different places in the world in my office. And so I set that up, but then I'm like, I want to have some random one that nobody knows. And so I found this little city called Abu Dhabi. And I was like, oh, I'm putting that there. And everybody that came in my office would always ask, what is Abu Dhabi? Or what, like all that stuff. And I was like, oh, that's just, Middle East, whatever. And then over the course of that time, Dubai started to just build and build and build.
Right.
They actually have some really even more cool stuff coming. But there was some engineers I talked to, and they came back. They're building like the bridge in Long Beach. And they had worked on some stuff in Dubai. They came back. They're like, "Yeah, some of those buildings are going to fall." Yeah, they are cutting a lot of corners there, and so they're like,
"All right, maybe we shouldn't ride roller coasters in Dubai then."
yeah, no.
You know how I am about theme parks.
Yeah. You're the theme park king.
Well, I mean, thank you. That's really kind. But I haven't even been to all the Disney parks.
You should know this, and this I consider it a compliment, is your friends, our best friends, talk about how great you are to go to a theme park with.
Oh,
this is specifically Mike and Aaron recently.
Yeah.
They're like, man, Brian hooked it up. He knows everything there is to know about. Like, we didn't wait in a single line at Disneyland. Like, he knew all the right spots. He was taking us here. He knew to cut this guy. He probably gave 20 to that guy and then got us in the bag. And like, they were like, I'm never going to Disneyland without Brian again. And I just seconded it. I was like, man, there's no need to go to Disneyland without Brian. If I ever go again, which I will, like every 2 years.
Man. You got to try the new Star Wars land.
Yeah, I know. I heard a lot of good things about it.
I mean, there was some backlash once people got there, and then they went like for 5 days in a row, and then they realized, wait, is this all there is? I'm like, yeah, but it's awesome though. Like, it's still cool.
Like 5 days in a row.
Yeah, you went 5 days in a row. Like, does that say anything? It's like people, they'll come and they'll like drink it like it's some new drink, and they'll gulp, 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 gulp. All right, that was great. What else you got?
Yeah.
Like, well, dude, we just spent 5 years and $100 million making this thing, and probably more. Probably $1 billion was spent on the new Star Wars land. And they've got a ride there, the Rise of the Resistance ride, which is the most incredible. It's not even a ride, really, because like there's. It's the most incredible Disney attraction that's ever been built.
Yeah, you always tell me about it, but you're always like, "Oh, but I can't tell you about it."
I can't.
Yeah, and there's something, and not just you, like, but notably you, but like you, and then my other friends that have gone. They're like, there's something secretive about it that I need to go. It's working. Whatever you guys are doing is working. I now want to go to Disneyland again. And how much does it get to Disneyland, by the way? $100?
It depends on what day you go. And
$100?
150.
It is $150 to go into Disney.
It depends on the day.
Wow, like, okay, whatever, sure, but that's shocking.
Look,
$150 good. I need to. I cannot grasp that. Like,
I agree. It's crazy. But people are willing to pay.
No, they love it.
Yeah.
Well, that makes. How much is the annual pass? You buy annual passes normally, right?
Yeah, mine. It was over $1,000.
It's $150 if you go for a day. $1,000. Yeah, done.
I got a family of 4, so.
All right, hey.
That per, so 1,000 plus per.
Yeah, well, yeah, but okay. So here's how it worked. I got myself the $1,200 one, the max.
I got my wife the cheaper version of it, and my kids they got
they weren't paying anything for it. No, I got my kids the cheaper ones, and my wife the cheaper one. But I got mine so that like if outside friends wanted to go, or people because all my coworkers are outside the country. Like anytime they would come in to California, I've been inviting people to come in. I can take a day because I don't have any blackout days. Whereas the wife and kids, they have the one where you have to make a reservation first.
The shitty one.
Yeah, the shitty one.
Yeah, okay.
The shitty one.
So hey, I got the good one. Just say it call it like it is. I got the good one for me.
Yeah.
I got the shitty one for the rest of my family.
Yeah. Because who's paying for it? Anyway, it's not important. Let's not label shitty versus great.
Oh yeah, there's other names.
One of them's
the
great.
Cheap version, or like the low grade.
One is slightly less so.
So just Josh, how we doing? Podcasts are a time warp because I don't know how long we've been on here.
You're about hour and 20 in.
Hour and 20 in. I would have guessed like 2 hours. What would you have guessed? Well, now you know, so it doesn't count.
Well, now you know. Now I know that time with me seems like a fucking eternity.
So. Yeah, I know. Well, you know when you're drinking.
That's true.
Some whiskey.
I don't even know.
Goes
This
down
is good
right.
bourbon, right?
What is this bourbon?
This is bourbon. It's Woodford Reserve.
All right.
The official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby. And
which you also called the shitty version.
Well, I mean, we don't want to say that on the podcast.
Oh, I mean, no. Oh, yeah, because they might want to be a sponsor.
Yeah, we just lost that sponsorship.
We're not gonna sponsor it.
We just pissed away that sponsorship.
No, they might want to sponsor this.
We should get sponsored by Pappy Van
This
Winkle.
hour and 20 minutes of compelling commentary.
Yeah. No, we'll ask Blanton's to sponsor us, and then we'll produce better content.
Yeah. So we do have one bottle that we haven't opened. That clearly this would have been a good time to open it, but
Pappy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. To be fair, it's the Lot B.
Yeah, man.
Who's counting? We're splitting hairs here.
Hey, when you win a raffle.
Yeah.
This is a great. Here, let me give you a great short version of this story.
Hit me.
And Brian, you were there, so I guess I'm more telling Josh and our entire audience is listening right now. So I'm not a big bourbon drinker. No, I'm generally not a big drinker in general, but Brian definitely likes a good bourbon. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate how much you like a good bourbon. Oh. And to our sponsor, great job. And so apparently the creme de la creme is Pappy Van Winkle.
Yes.
And
the 23 year.
The creme de la creme of the creme de la creme is the 23 year. But Pappy Van Winkle in general is they only put out so much a year. You can't really find it places, yada, yada, all these things.
And only the best barrels get to age.
And only the best barrels get to age, and the
rest
humidity and the certain type of wood. We get it. They do it right. It tastes like every other bourbon to me. But they're just kidding, Pat. Just in case they want to be a sponsor. Just in case they're going to be a sponsor. So anyway. Long story short, Brian's like, hey, they're having a tasting. We should go. We've never had it. He's always wanted it. I'm like, hey, yeah, I'll go with you. So we went. We got it. It was like $150 just for 1 ounce. One shot.
A double. So it was $80 for
it was $80. Okay, so $160 for a double.
Yeah.
And so we had that plus a couple others. It was it was good. But I'm not a bourbon drinker, so
it was great.
Oh, you're right. It was great.
We want bourbon. That sponsorship, Jason.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It was like kissing.
Speaking of bourbon, when I drink,
it was like French kissing an angel.
Yes. That's how I would describe it. And then they're like, hey, we're raffling off a bottle. Now it's not the 23 year, it's the 12 year. But okay, hey, we're still raffling off a bottle. I don't know, it's $1,000 bottle maybe, and it was like $50 to get one. So Brian buys 4 or 5 tickets. And he's like, oh, I'm going to win this bottle. I'm here. It's destiny. All this stuff.
Oh, wow. This is really turning me into the villain at this
point. No, you're not the villain.
I'm the sidekick, if anything.
Oh, yeah.
In the candy stores.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, this was all you. You set all this up. You set the scene. And I really enjoyed myself. And long story short, so I'm like, I'll buy a raffle ticket. And guess whose raffle ticket was? Boom.
Yep.
And they called it. We celebrated. We did not open it. And then I did say, it's our bottle. Because you set it up. Cheers. And so I will not open it unless you're there.
Well, unless we close a big deal or win the lottery or have a successful business that we
Start
sell.
a podcast. Oh, shit. Missed that check. That's off the list now.
Started the podcast, but like if we sell the podcast or sign some big deal, then we'll crack it.
Yeah, and just for the record, and for for our entire audience, is that, and for all of our sponsors,
yes,
that like I'm just really excited about the podcast. I'm glad we took the time to set up the space. I've had this space for probably I think 2 years. And Dylan and I had the other space, and we kind of moved the studio in there, and he set up that studio beautiful. And so he's been doing that, and so I've had this space just sitting here for a while. I'm like, I gotta set up the podcast, and just life happens, and I've been doing it. But now that we finally got it going, and I know this was even a Jimmy rig setup. Like we're not even how we're going to be set up. So you will see everything improve along the way. I'm sure we're going to improve the audio quality. I'm sure we're going to improve everything from the microphones and all this stuff, because I really enjoy just having conversations with my friends. And if this podcast is, it's just something I very much wanted to do, because there's so many interesting people that I want to talk to. And I'm just happy that we got it kicked off. So basically that's a very long-winded version of thank you for getting this going.
Well, if I can wrap this up as well.
Yeah, please.
Oftentimes I say I like traveling with this guy Chasom Brown right here.
Well, Glacier Boys. Too hot to be cold.
One of the great things about traveling with Chasom is even though I'm his friend, we see each other all the time. He's got his attention split a lot of the time between many businesses, his other friends, his romantic affairs, and I've told you this many times. Whenever we go on a trip, probably the biggest highlight of the trip is not necessarily where we're going, the fact that I get unfettered access to Chasom Brown. Even though he spends a lot of time on like a business call, but
life doesn't stop.
No.
Just because I'm in another time zone.
He'll usually take it while we're on like a train in between cities, so like I still get the full experience. So if I can become a regular fixture of the podcast, or even I don't dare say co-host. I don't know if this is audition.
Wow, guys, you're kind of making me a little uncomfortable. We'll see how you do. Well, I got to see the comments.
I'm just saying.
I got to see what the sponsors think of all the.
Oh, they're gonna love me.
Oh, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, look, that's not a problem. That's not an issue. But if I do become a regular fixture of the podcast, it at least will serve the same function as those trips do.
That's the beauty of it.
Busy our lives are.
Yeah.
My wife and kids over here. Multiple businesses over there. This will be the time we can get together on a regular basis and just talk about shit.
Yeah, no, and that's what this is mainly for. And we're gonna be doing a lot of talking about shit. So I'm definitely having all of our friends are gonna be on it. Like, you're always welcome on it. Like, anytime anybody's ever on, please come join me. Casa, su casa, or how do you say podcast in Spanish? I need to learn podcast.
I don't know.
Podcasta. And maybe we'll sum it up, and I will just be a little complimentary on as we're probably finishing up the session. Is the thing that I like about traveling with you, since we're on the topic, is I like how we decide what type of trip this is going to be. Is this going to be a Brian trip, or is this going to be a Chasom trip? Because we need to know going into it, because both of us need to get our head in the game. Because a Chasom trip is like, I don't know when we're buying the ticket. Let's just buy a one-way ticket there. We'll figure out where we're going to stay when we get there. We'll probably meet some people. We'll hang out with them. We'll either stay with these people we're going to meet, or we'll get some random... We'll get some random spot, and it will take us on some random adventure. And wherever we start, we're not going to finish, and we're going to end up in some city we never heard of, and it's going to be great. And a Brian trip is like, okay, 7:42. That's when our train arrives. And then we're going to have to, like, it will get there. They normally arrive between 8:45 and 8:50, but we have to watch this because there's this cookie place that I need to try, and they're only open till 9, and okay, and it takes 7 minutes to walk there. So don't worry, I've already literally on Google walked the route, which you've done. Yeah. I've already literally walked the route, so I know where already to go because I've virtually done it multiple times. And then we'll get there 6 minutes before the place closes. We can enjoy it, and then we'll be able to have at least 10 minutes to talk about how much we enjoyed it, and then we could check into our hotel. And actually, normally that planning is mind-boggling to me.
But there's a lot of listeners that are like pulling away from this idea. They're like, wow, that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah,
it's fun.
But there's the other half of listeners that are like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, there's people that love that. And actually, travel, that's not the way I travel, but that's why I like traveling with you, because when we know it's going to be a Brian trip, because then I'm like, okay, it's going to be a Brian trip, so I don't have to do shit. I just got to show up to the airport, and then from the moment I arrive at the airport to the moment I'm getting picked up from the airport, the same airport that when I fly back home, everything is planned. And we have options along the way.
Yeah, I've expanded.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because I'll give you options, and then there'll be a period where I've planned spontaneity.
Yeah, I know. And the spontaneity is we can go here or we can go here. But
there's literally only two.
Yeah. And I fully accept that. And so, cheers. Till next trip. Till next podcast, everyone. Let's give a round of applause to Josh. Yay. Yeah, man. And Brian Clark, thank you very much for being on the very first podcast of Chasom Was Here. And you'll definitely be on again, over and over again. And I'm looking forward to doing the next one. I can't wait. I'm glad we're set and we're a go. And that's a wrap.